right. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. It's so great to see so many people who have turned out for our kickoff of our partnership with the News Literacy Project and Checkology. I'm so excited to welcome our friends from the News Literacy Project today to our Topical Tuesday session. I know you're all going to love this. We are rolling it out through media centers. Just a couple of housekeeping things. Please make sure your microphone is muted when you aren't speaking, and utilize the question and answer feature. That will really help us keep track of the questions. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to our friends of the News Literacy Project.
Well, this is fantastic. Hello, everyone. Shaylin Farnsworth here from Iowa. I'm adding something quickly to the document just to make sure that all bases are covered. And Lisa, Jordan got pulled somewhere else, so I'm going to call on you to help me with anything that pops up in the chat.
No worries.
Anything
that I got you.
Thank you. May occur. If you could be my co-pilot, I would appreciate it. So I'm going to start sharing a slide deck. Would love to hear in the chat your familiarity with the News Literacy Project. So let me know, have you ever heard of the News Literacy Project? Maybe it's brand new to you. Maybe you are familiar with some of our resources. Maybe you already use some resources, but would love to hear about your knowledge of NLP.
One brave soul said she has no prior knowledge.
Perfect. Love it.
It's all good. We got you guys.
Awesome. So as those answers roll in, whenever they roll in, you can share with me. I am a very casual presenter, so feel free to unmute yourself. If you have a question, put it in the chat. Lisa will shoot them my way and we can answer them. When I'm showing slides, I can't see the chat. So make sure that you feel free to unmute yourself if you would like. As I said, my name is Shaylin Farnsworth, and I am actually an Iowa educator, have been in education for, I think this is my 23rd year. I am very active on Twitter, so if you are on Twitter, definitely connect with me there. Love library media specialist. I have a background in literacy, and so excited to start this partnership with your district and supporting your students with all of our free educator resources and programs. So this is just enough info to get started. Going to provide some quick wins for you, a little bit of background information, and then continue on that. I found that when we work with library media specialists, it is an easy access point because it's in your wheelhouse. You're also supporting so many different colleagues along with students who you either have a class with or support in the library or media center. So it's a great access point. We are aligned. All of our resources are aligned to not only ELA, but also to social studies and ISTEs, which I know are crosswalked with the library media specialists. So lots of alignment there, and hopefully lots of great resources, classroom ready, that you can use and share with your colleagues. So a little bit of background information about NLP, since it is new for so many of you. We were actually started and founded in 2008. I used some of the first iterations of our resources back when I was a classroom teacher, and then my career kind of went full circle. And now, a couple years ago, I took this role. So my main role is to work with districts, LEAs, state education boards, to provide them resources to help students discern fact from falsehoods. We were founded by a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, Alan Miller, who went into his daughter's middle school classroom and realized that in this day and age, students had access to an abundance of information, but didn't really have those critical thinking skills to know how to sift through all of that information. So the News Literacy Project was born. There is our mission and vision. And as I said, our goal is to provide free resources and programs across the nation to support students, not only discerning fact from falsehoods, but to be advocates for themselves and others, and to be really civically responsible in their community. So help stop that spread of disinformation that is all over, especially right now. So that's a little bit of background information. I get lots of questions about NLP. A few of them involve our main focus. So we spend about 70% of our efforts on the education side. 30% of our efforts go to the public side, which is great for educators because most of the resources I'm sharing with you today also have a public version, which is perfect for transparency, sharing with families who want to work on their own critical thinking skills when it comes to online information and understanding facts from falsehoods. So lots of great resources that you can share with your family as well. Another common question that I get is about our non-partisanship. So we work really hard and have since the beginning to make sure that not only our resources are relevant and engaging, but provide critical thinking skills. So teaching kids what to think or how to think, not what to think. So you'll see most of our examples pull in different viewpoints, different voices, different political affiliations. So we try really hard to triple check all of our resources before they come into your hands. We also have an amazing board with subject matter experts, journalists, educators from all different areas of work and life and political views. And so nonpartisanship is something that we strongly believe in and makes our resources so great. Finally, another question is how do you sustain? Because as educators, we're always skeptical when something is completely free. It's that catch-all. Is it a freemium? How is it paid for? And I didn't really understand it until I jumped into my current role. We have about, I would say, 25 people on the education side. We have about that much on the public side, which also does fundraising, grant writing, foundation work. And so it is their full-time job to sustain all of our efforts. And that's how we keep everything completely free. And we also prioritize. So while we have wonderful digital resources, we have to prioritize as far as integration. So you'll see we have single sign-on, but we don't have, let's say, like Schoology integration because Schoology wants us to pay to get all of our resources on their platform. So we do prioritize keeping everything free, spending most of the time and money and efforts creating resources that educators can use in their classroom. So I'm going to pause to see if there's any other questions about NLP. I know that was kind of a quick breakdown, but Lisa, do you see any questions about NLP?
Right now, I don't see any questions.
Perfect. So I thought I would start with a question. And I know this may not pertain so much
Before
to...
you go, were you sharing slides, Shaylin?
Oh, yes. Can you see that?
No, that's
Too funny. Well, thank you. Thanks for telling me. Now, here we go. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to... There we go. Can you see my slides now?
We can.
Perfect. So I know this question might pertain more to middle school, high school, but elementary, you can put your lens on it if you have older children yourself or something that your colleagues may have been speaking about. So like I said, all of our resources are current, relevant, engaging, and we just released a whole collection of resources on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So would love to hear your thoughts as library media specialists. What skills do you believe are needed by students to think critically, discuss thoughtfully, and help stop the spread of misinformation surrounding the Russian invasion of Ukraine? And elementary teachers, that might be slightly modified if that discussion is not taking place in classroom amongst students, maybe with colleagues, because of the age of your students. But go ahead and drop in the chat. What sort of skills do you believe are needed to think critically, discuss thoughtfully, and help stop the spread of misinformation?
And we've got vetting your sources websites like .com versus .org, teaching reliable sources, credible sources.
Mm-hmm. Here's one of the a recent example, and this actually came out of the SIFT, and I linked it on the Google Doc that I shared with you. The SIFT is our weekly newsletter. I'm going to share two different resources with you today. But the SIFT comes out only during the school year, each Monday, and it provides educators with current relevant examples of current events, viral rumors, mis and disinformation, along with discussion questions, extension activities. This one that I'm showing has a think sheet with it, so lots of quick wins, great resources to promote exactly what you were just sharing. So here are two tweets about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They're using similar videos. It's a verified account. You see that blue check mark. But when you dig in deeper, this is actually misinformation and disinformation at its heart. So some of those people may not know that they are sharing out of context videos. That would be considered misinformation when there is no intent behind it. Disinformation is when someone shares it with the intent to do ill, to increase anxiety, to benefit financially. So disinformation has intent behind it. Misinformation does not. This video is actually out of context. And when you dig in deeper, it talks about the original video, how it was back in 2020. And I did link that in the no, I didn't link that one in the document. It's in the SIFT that I linked in there. But it shows the original video it came from. Another misinformation and disinformation that's being spread about the Ukraine and Russian war is seen on TikTok. Now, I have a senior in high school and a middle school daughter, and they view TikTok as one of their news sources. The problem is with algorithms and the more that you view a video, it pushes it higher on the For You page. Here is a current example from our friend Abby Richards, and she's sharing this. It's from an account that says this is live footage from Ukraine. But when you dig into the video and you use reverse image search, vet your sources, as you mentioned, to think critically, you'll realize that this is actually a looped video, and again, it's out of context. It's an older video, and this has over 1 million likes on TikTok. So it keeps moving further up the algorithm and on the For You page, and it's spreading like wildfire. Again, Abby Richards, who's a friend of NLP, she's a misinformation researcher, and she specializes on TikTok. A fabulous connection for us. So how do we share these things? Like I said, on the SIFT, the weekly newsletter, we help you curate those collections of current events, and we not only reinforce all of those skills that you spoke about in the beginning, how to vet sources, how to discern fact from falsehoods with reverse image search, how to read laterally, but we also provide support resources created by former educators and journalists who make up our team. This is a think sheet. It is hooked onto our newsletter. It provides more guidance on different resources kids can check out, different critical thinking skills that they can dig into, and it's extremely user-friendly and classroom ready for you to take and use the next day in the classroom. Along with that, we also have uh, fantastic infographics. And so this is actually part of the SIFT link, but it's also found on our Checkology virtual classroom, which is another resource I'm going to share. But this is what an example of one of our resources. It is an infographic that is used not only in the SIFT, but also on our Checkology virtual classroom that speaks to Boolean searches, using quotation marks, limiting to news. So how do you reinforce those skills that you are experts in? And I'm sure many of your colleagues seek your support in when they're starting different research projects or understanding all of the print and digital assets you have in your library that students can use. So before I move over to Checkology, I'm going to pause here to see if there are any questions about the SIFT. I know that was a quick resource share, but it is a fabulous, quick win weekly resource during the school year that provides specific discussion questions, extension activities, and more. So I'm going to pause.
All right, I think we're good. Oh, I have a question actually. How are you different than Newsella?
And we're often confused with Newsella, I think, because they both have news. I see Newsella as a great nonfiction resource. So I'm a huge fan of Newsella. It has current topics, great nonfiction that can be differentiated to meet student needs, and they provide extensions as far as vocabulary. I haven't been on there lately, but I'm sure comprehension. Ours is focused more on critical thinking skills and focused more on equipping students to discern fact from falsehoods online. So it is, here is a piece of misinformation. How can we use the skills and understand the skills necessary to debunk this misinformation? Here is a piece, and we're going to use this piece to look at media bias. So how do we know something is news or opinion and what bias it has? Here are the different things that you can look at, the different elements. How is somebody different blogging in their basement than somebody who is a journalist at a reputable news site? So it's more skill based. It's more verification skills. It's more press freedoms, current events, where I see, Newsella as a fabulous resource for a collection of nonfiction to pull in with different units. Great question.
And other than that, we just got asked if there's any kind of paid content. But as far as I know, everything is completely free.
Everything is completely free. And the only thing that we do charge for is, let's say you wanted a 2-day institute on site on campus, then of course to bring the team out there and to customize a professional development, then of course that sort of thing would have to be negotiated for travel and that sort of thing. But otherwise, it's completely free. We do have a small mighty team, and that's why we have to be, I don't know if I like the word selective, but we don't partner with everyone. We partner with districts we feel have a great group of educators who see this as important work and see a natural fit of what they're already doing to support, in your case, to support your students and also all of those colleagues that I'm sure knock on your doors. But yes, free is great.
There was a quick question in the chat that said, they always hear that platforms are biased, the ones that help discern truth versus fake content.
Yep.
And what sets News Literacy Project apart?
So I think when people have that view, it's because of lack of knowledge. And we have some great lessons that address that. So can you see my web browser that shows Checkology Virtual Classroom?
Yep.
So this is where we have our lessons. And I would say these are geared more from 5th through 12th grade. I do have some resources that I'll share for lower elementary. But these contain lessons that reinforce all of those skills that we just spoke about. And I think when you encounter discussions like that and you hear it so frequently from students, but even more so from families and adults, I think it's a few things. And we do have lessons that support this. The first is quality journalism. I think that people who use social media as a news outlet um, have a hard time differentiating between somebody who is an influencer, somebody who has a blog, and somebody who is a professional journalist. And a professional journalist has standards just like educators, and that's what that lesson goes through. They have different teams that help them notice those blind spots because everybody comes with some bias, and that's what our lesson talks about in understanding bias. Let's see here. Understanding biases right there. It's one of my favorite foundational lessons. But those professional journalists have multiple teams that help them everything from images to language used to voices shown. And if they make a mistake, they take it very personally and are embarrassed and they publicly admit it. The news organization admits it. They make the correction. So that's the first thing. I think the other thing that people don't know because of education wise is news organizations have um, uh, opinion journalism, and that would be on a completely different building level, different team than other journalists in the field. So you will find opinion pieces in news organizations, in newspapers, on news outlets, and that is part of a news organization, but it is far different than the other journalism taking place. And so I think it's hard for people to know that you'll see both news and opinion in media outlets, but they are distinctly different in how they write, even down to where they are in the building. Great questions. Yes. Yeah, I saw that about social media. Lisa, did you see that
I
comment?
did. I did.
Well, that's a great thing about our resources is we try to apply all of these skills to examples that students would encounter. So this, like I said, is our Checkology virtual platform. It's browser based, so you don't have to download any software. It's completely free. This is an educator account. You can see up here because it has the content. It has the dashboard where you can create classes. It's easy to get kids enrolled into your course. It's just a simple link click. But what you'll notice about our content is it's very high quality. It's taught by subject matter experts, and it's similar in fashion. So I'm going to show you just a glimpse of one of our lessons. And you and I would think of them more as mini units, so about 2 to 3 class periods. It would take to get through a full lesson. But on top of the lessons, we have short exercises and we have fact checking missions. So, again, I'm going to demonstrate a lesson for you so you can see how they are aligned. These are parallel in nature. They're all taught by subject matter experts. This is Tracy Potts, a journalist. So it's journalists, scientists, professors, some sort of subject matter expert, and it follows best practices in multimodal learning. So you'll see 2 minute or less video clips, moving graphics, relevant formative assessment. So students learn and then demonstrate what they know with an example. Learn, demonstrate what they know with an example. So it's highly engaging, interactive, and it's relevant. So I'm going to let you hear from Tracy Potts. This is InfoZones. Again, it's one of our foundational lessons. It allows students to understand primary purpose of online information and how to zone that information. So again, great foundational lesson, perfect way to introduce news literacy and help reinforce those critical thinking skills.
When I was starting out in journalism, we didn't have nearly as much information available to us. There was no internet, no email, no texting, no social media, not even YouTube. We got all our information from textbooks, books we bought or checked out from the library, magazines and newspapers we bought or subscribed to, TV shows we watched on just a handful of channels, and films we actually had to go to the movie theater to see. With no access to the internet, we also couldn't share information with a large group of people at one time. What that meant is that
So Tracy talks and she walks through to students through the primary purposes. And here's an example of the built-in formative assessment. This is a drag and drop. You'll see the primary purposes on the side. When students expand the examples, you'll see relevant platforms. So here's an article about a student interest piece. Here's user-generated content that they would encounter on YouTube or Instagram. Here's an infographic. So we try to make all of our examples extremely relevant to the types of content students would encounter online. And again, this is just a drag and drop example. So students take this, it sort of acts as a pretest, and then Tracy walks them through the different zones, and then they apply their thinking. So I know, the time has gone so quickly, Lisa. You told me I have a half an hour, so I want to make sure that I leave a couple minutes at the end for questions. I know this is a crash course. A couple other things I would love to share with you on our platform. We have this great journalist directory. These are all free journalists who have partnered with NLP that you can invite to Google Meet into your classroom to front load any project-based learning, to have students meet with an expert. You can filter by their area of expertise or language, and you connect with the journalist and invite them into your classroom. All completely free, extremely powerful learning for students. There's even a sports one that people have used, a sports reporter that they've really liked. We do have standards associated. I saw that question pop up on your Google sheet that I shared with you. You'll see that it has right here the standards alignment link. And these have all been aligned, again, to ELA, to social studies, ISTE, which I know are crosswalk with the library media specialist, and soon to be with our newest collection of STEM resources, we'll have the next generation science standards alignment too.
How easy is it for them to create a class?
So it's extremely simple. The great thing about our platform is when you sign up, it will ask you to enter a zip code. And what that allows you to do is to make sure you're associated with the correct school building and to add co-teachers. Once you sign up and you have your account and the link is on there, you just simply title it. So we'll say period 2. Student type, let's say high school, grade level is 10th, subject area, we do have library media specialists. And when you push create class, all you'll see here is this little code that you copy and put on your LMS. And we have single sign-on, like I said. So students, whether they access it through an email or the LMS that you use, once they click on that, they'll be immediately brought to your class. They choose the single sign-on, which I assume is Google, since we're on a Google Meet, and they will be in your class ready to go with the content that you've chosen for them to work through.
Okay, before we sign off today and take time for questions, can you show a little bit about the earlier elementary activities that we have? We have a fair amount of elementary media specialists on with us.
Yes. Definitely. So the link that I provided on your document will bring you to our resource library. Checkology, as I said, I've seen used 5th through 12th. It's very flexible in that a lot of elementary educators either use the one-to-many mode or they use Nearpod or something like that, so they smash it. We do have a selection of Google slide decks that help scaffold those skills down. And you will find those in our resource library, which I linked. This is an example of a critical observation. It focuses on ELSA, that students are familiar with. And it shows in this Google slide deck, it has you think about what's news, what's opinion, and was Elsa truly arrested? So they show this post that was on Facebook, and it walks you through. So as an educator, you're honing those skills of critical thinking. How do I know what I see online is true or not? And you go through. So things that kids typically pick out. Oh, there's pink handcuffs. She's, he's smiling here while he's arresting her. She's very dramatic. Why is this with so many likes, on this police department? They don't normally post these things. So again, it walks you through step by step in Google Slides. It's not on Checkology. I'm not sure. We want it to be flexible, especially at the elementary level. So I'm not sure if we'll ever put them on Checkology, but right now, and we continue to add because of the need, we have a collection of slide decks, Google slide decks in our resource library that you can use with our youngest learners.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. This is a fun one. It's one of my favorites. So it walks you through, gives you discussion questions. If you open it in slides, you can make a copy so then you can differentiate it and change it all you would like to. But it's a great one. And, Elsa, it seems like everybody recognizes Elsa. So it gets the youngest learners jumping in and helps them develop those skills of using cues, not only in the text, but also in the images of trying to figure out if something's true or not.
For sure. We've got to start them young. Absolutely. Before I take over, Sharon, does anyone have any questions? You could pop them in the chat. You could feel free to unmute your microphone.
I know that was a quick one, Lisa. I am so thankful that you let me come in and speak to your educators.
I'll invite you back.
Yes. Know that there's more to share and definitely more questions, and you can shoot them towards Lisa and we can connect with the team. But we're just thrilled to be approved by your district.
It was a long, hard process. So you guys are good. Feel free to use any Google integrations with this. It has cleared our legal department. It took like 9 months, but we did it.
Yes, exactly. And I haven't been to Florida lately, so maybe next year we'll get some things on the books, and I can come in and see the awesome things that you're doing in your district. So
a good question, Vicki. I don't know if it'll be on the portal, but I can certainly ask.
There will be, yeah, Lisa. There are some things with links.
It would just be. Yeah. We'll talk offline.
Yeah.
Shaylin and I will talk offline and see if we can figure out if it would be easy to put a tile in the portal. If not, you could link it from Google Classrooms.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, have a great day. And thank you so much. If you need anything, just reach out or let Lisa know and we will get back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Well, if you have not attended our selection and collection development training, the last session for this school year is on Monday, March 21st. It will be at Dwyer High School. We also have a virtual PD session that same day from 1 to 3. It's for inventory. Come refresh yourself about inventory. It's from 1 to 3, and the Google Meet link will be in the course. If you have yet to join Emma, please come join us. Lots of great things happening. And on that note, our next March member share tank will be March 29th at 2:30. The topics are going to be School Library Month, Autism Awareness, National Poetry Month, and Summer Reading. Please continue to tag us. I keep seeing the amazing things that are going on in your libraries. I'm seeing more than I ever have. Your tweeting is fantastic. Please use the hashtag LoveMyLibraryPBCSD. We want our administrators to see that, but as well, Stephanie and I search that to find your content so we can share it out further. If you are looking for points, make sure you register for this course in e-learning. It's worth about 20 points, and there is only one culminating activity. It is linked in e-learning. Our next Topical Tuesday session will be March 22nd. It will be a follow-up to the inventory PD, and it's a help session. Bring your questions. We will answer them in terms of inventory. And that should say April. The next one after that is in April, and it will be Brian Knowles, the manager of African American, Latino, Gender, and Holocaust Studies, and he will be coming to talk to us about all things curricular in his department and in terms of integrating literature. With that, I will stop recording and have a fabulous afternoon.